Let's review Agile. So Agile is an iterative process to deliver the project work. It's not only once, it's iterative, and we can change and fine-tune as we go. So if we go through the loop, when the execution starts, we already obviously have a good idea of what we'll be doing. So it's usually a very large chunk of work that we've agreed to work on. So we went through our initiation, so we had the go-ahead of the project, let's say it's to deliver a software, and then we know that we need to deliver the software, but we want to give ourselves the opportunity to be able to fine-tune how the software will be implemented, for instance. So in other words, it's more of recurring activities until we get it right, more or less. So in planning, we have the go-ahead, we have the high-level requirements on what we want, the type of software or the type or website or anything that we want. And after we get caught into that loop, so initially, there's several requirements gathering during execution, but we might skip that one initially. We might go directly into design because we haven't started the loop yet. So we might go into design directly, and we do a first build, and we do a test internally. So this is a technical resource doing the test, and after we demo it to the client, and the client has a look at it, maybe do their own test as well, and then we implement the first draft. We've really implemented into the production, so it's live. So we've done the first loop, and the product is already live. So this is live, but there are also instances when it could just be in a test environment somewhere, and then we keep working with the business in this test environment until they are happy and there are several loops have occurred, and then we can put it live. But if we just keep it to the scenario where we go live at every loop, I think it'd be easier to understand. Let's say we arrive in a second loop here, and the business want to change something, or they have something else in mind and they want to add it. So we do another bit of design, and we do another build, and we do another test demo, and then we implement again. The rule book says every 2 to 4 weeks, but it can be any length of time if you like, but usually quite close to each other. So they call that sprints. So every 2 to 4 weeks, a piece of code, a bit of a website, a small component is added based on the latest requirement gathering here. Go through the loop and you implement. You go through the loop and you implement. Now during design, build, and also test, the teams meet very frequently. They call that daily stand-ups, so they call that scrums, to review progress and get feedback. So the whole idea is very interactive between the business, between the business analyst, between the developer, and between the tester. So they all go in front of a whiteboard, and they say, well, what do we do for the next implementation here? And they obviously have a backlog, and they decide what they will do for this time, and they review what happened in the previous day and what they're planning to do the next day. So it's very interactive, if you like. So when you compare that with Waterfall, where you had just these big bang requirements, and after this big bang design, and so it's much more interactive. We see much more of the business, and the teams interact much more. So this is why if you also take Agile by the book, the business representative, the business analyst, the developer, and the tester, they should be in the same physical area. So this is just, I suppose, for by the book cases which don't always occur. So if we want to go a little bit deeper in our understanding of Agile, just wanted to mention the terminology here, and I put that under the advanced because hopefully with the previous slide you have a good understanding of Agile. But if to go a little bit deeper, so you would have a project, and you will break down your project into large chunks that are called epics, and then epics are broken down once again in building blocks. That's something concrete that a developer can build. So I'm using the terms build and development because Agile is mostly done for IT project where you actually have to develop/build something. So I think it's easier to use that type of IT, if you want, terminology. You have a big chunk here. Here you have something concrete that can be implemented. And when you go to your daily scrums or daily meetings, what you can do is have the whiteboard broken down into 5 parts. One part where you have all your stories. You have one part where you have all the to-do, so it could be some work for a business analyst, for a developer, for a tester. You have another part where you put in progress, so that shows what is currently being done, what is to be tested, so that the development has been completed and now it's ready to be tested, and what is done. And this should go into the implementation as a next sprint. I think we should have a look at an example, maybe. Let's have a look at an example. Okay. So let's say I work on a project. It's to develop a website to sell some mountain gear, say. Okay. So I could have one epic, could be ability to view the catalog items. So I don't, I don't want to right from the start create, carts so they can put products in carts. I want them to be able to visualize only, because I want to go on the market quickly. And that's the key advantage of Agile, is you, instead of ticking all the boxes and having everything done perfectly, I want to go on the market quickly, and then I will build on that. So what I do is I have this first epic here, ability to view catalog items, and after I create another epic, which is ability to purchase items. I really want that, but first, quick on the market. And also, as a client, I want to have a look at this. I want to visualize it, because it's hard sometimes for a client to visualize the final product without having a look at the website, the feel, and the like. So once they see that, they say, "Oh, okay, I would like the cart to be built this way," and the like. So it's quite flexible. And this is a user story, what they call story. What we've seen in the previous slide is it's often worded this way as a search and search. I want to be able to search and search. So as a website user, I want to be able to add items to my cart. So this is a story that will go here. And this story here will be, Mr. Builder, please create a piece of code that will allow items to be added to the cart. And then when all done, they will, the team lead or whoever, or even the project manager, could say, okay, that's going to be on my next to-do list. And after, it would go into progress, tested, and done. Put the story there. And then they have this as a task. They have a different terminology, because obviously Agile working on smaller components, they need to be able to break down the activities and also the requirements into smaller pieces. So this is why they have all these different terminology, I suppose. That's it for an Agile overview. I think that this example makes it quite clear. Now, what we haven't seen yet is what are the advantages of Agile, although I'm sure you've already spotted some, and what are the advantages of Waterfall. So I suggest, as to wrap things up, we have a look at the key pros and cons of Agile and Waterfall.